March 10th. That's the deadline that WNBA set for getting a new collective bargaining agreement done, or the entire 2026 season could be delayed. And as that date arrived, one question dominated every conversation. Do the players actually have the guts to strike? Because if they don't, they're negotiating from a position of weakness. And if they do strike, they risk destroying everything Caitlin Clark just built for them.
A meeting between the WNBA and the Players Association, including players, is scheduled for later today, multiple sources told me. On February 23rd, the league imposed a March 10th target date that, if passed, would subject the season to delays. Both sides have exchanged proposals in recent days, the details of which have not become public. Why haven't they become public? Is movement being made on both sides? The Players Association seems to be acting accordingly, behaving, and they're too scared to leak the details.
Here's what's been happening behind closed doors. According to ESPN's Alexa Philippou, the league imposed that March 10th target date back on February 20th. Both sides have been exchanging proposals in recent days, but suddenly something changed. The details stopped leaking for months. Every time the Players Association made an offer, it got leaked to the media within hours. Players demanding 27% of revenue, then 26%, then 25%. Each leak made them look worse to the public. Now, radio silence. And that's actually significant. When negotiations are going poorly, both sides leak to create public pressure. When things might actually be moving forward, everyone shuts up. The fact that we don't know what's in these latest proposals suggests someone finally realized that negotiating through media leaks was destroying the players' leverage.
Shares updates on the WNBA CBA negotiations. This was a video from yesterday, about 24 hours before it all comes crashing down.
You have been all over this story. Where do things stand right now between the WNBA and the Players Union?
Yeah, Amina, well, the WNBA sent a counter proposal to the Players Union on Saturday. That was a day after the Players Union sent a counter proposal itself to the league on Friday. So you had that back and forth, but right now the ball is technically in the players' court. It's been described to me that those proposals contained some movement, indicating a little bit of progress, but I think it's notable that we actually haven't had leaks from either side so far about the contents of that proposal, perhaps indicating that both sides actually see and understand the seriousness of what this deadline tomorrow.
Let's talk about what that public pressure actually looked like. Every time a report came out that the players turned down $1 million average salary offer, fans reacted exactly how you'd expect. Of course, the owners said no to that demand every time the players dropped their revenue sharing request by just 1 percentage point from 27 to 26 to 25. The public saw it as theater, not serious negotiation. The Players Association seemed genuinely confused about why they weren't getting public support. But here's the reality. When you're in a league that's lost money for 27 years straight, when the NBA has subsidized your existence to the tune of tens of millions annually, when you just had your first profitable season largely because one player drove unprecedented viewership, demanding NBA-level revenue splits doesn't land well. It doesn't matter if it's fair in some abstract sense. What matters is leverage, and the players were bleeding leverage with every leak. So the decision to keep these latest proposals confidential, that's actually smart strategy, even if it came way too late in the process.
Initially described to me as more of like a target, it does still mean that the league is operating as if they need to get this deal done really sooner rather than later, if not as soon as possible, to ensure the schedule won't be impacted.
I would say this right now. If there is a lockout, if there's no season, if there's a strike, that would do irreparable damage to the WNBA. After fighting so long to be mainstream, Caitlin Clark finally gave it to them. And just like that, it could all go away. After waiting 8 years, 10 years with the revenue sharing and finally getting a piece broken off to them, well, all that's going to disappear. So that $45,000 that you got this year from a collective pot of revenue sharing, jersey sales, card sales, so on and so forth.
Now here's where it gets complicated. Caitlin Clark, who's arguably the only reason this negotiation matters right now, went on record with her perspective. At USA Basketball Camp in Miami, she told reporters, "I don't understand why we don't just get in a room and iron it out and shake hands. That's how business is. You look each other in the eye, you shake hands, you respect both sides." It's a reasonable take from someone who's probably never been involved in contentious labor negotiations before. But it reveals something important. Clark still believes both sides respect each other, and that's where her read on the situation might be naive, because a significant portion of WNBA players don't respect the owners, not even a little bit. Think about the public statements from players like Natasha Cloud, Nafisa Collier, Breanna Stewart. The underlying message has consistently been that owners are greedy billionaires hoarding money that rightfully belongs to the players. There's no acknowledgement that these owners have lost money on this investment for nearly 3 decades. No recognition that the NBA's subsidy is what kept the league alive. Just entitlement to revenue the league only started generating last year, largely because of one player's drawing power. You can't look someone in the eye with respect when you fundamentally don't respect what they've done or why they deserve a seat at the table. And that's the real obstacle.
Jersey selling, mainly due to Caitlin Clark's trading cards, mainly due to everything Caitlin Clark related, boosting those numbers. Every piece of the pie that you got broken off of, well, you can kiss that all goodbye. You're going to go another 5 to 10 years of not qualifying for revenue sharing at all if there's a strike, if there's a lockout, if a season gets missed. And I'm not sure if the players actually understand that, or if they do understand that, I'm not sure if they care. And if they don't care, well, then when you go back to being ignored by the rest of the country, don't complain about it. Don't cry about it. Don't say you need to pay attention to us. Don't say we need to get paid.
Breanna Stewart, who's a vice president of the Players Association, echoed Clark's sentiment about getting everyone in a room. "I think that would be great for all of us to sit in a room until we really get it done," Stewart said. "If that means sitting in there for hours and hours at a time, let's do it." And that meeting did happen. On March 10th, the deadline day, both sides met with players present. But here's the problem with that approach. Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. When you have a room full of players, each with their own priorities, each wanting to be heard, each representing different constituencies within the union, nothing gets done efficiently. The players who make maximum salaries have different interests than players on minimum contracts. Veterans have different concerns than rookies. Stars who can make millions overseas have different leverage than role players who need the WNBA to survive. Getting all those voices aligned in real-time negotiation, that's not how you close a deal. That's how you create a spectacle.
They complained, not getting the recognition they deserve, not getting the exposure they deserve. Well, if there's a strike and a lockout and it goes back to you guys being the redheaded stepchild, Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone getting shoved underneath the stairs in a room locked away, don't complain about it. Lexi Filippo put out an article, what we're hearing on the WNBA's CBA negotiations. Another month, another deadline, but now things might be getting real. Nearly a year and a half of negotiations have yet to yield a new collective bargaining agreement, but March 10th is here. Last month, the WNBA told the Players Association and its teams that a new deal should be agreed to by March 10th to keep the 2026 schedule unaffected. There's no indications a deal is imminent, and March 10th might end up being more of a target date than a hard and fast deadline. When the players were given that time frame, the union saw it as a negotiation tactic from the WNBA.
So let's game out what happens if this negotiation fails, if the players actually strike, if games get canceled, if the 2026 season is delayed or doesn't happen at all. The damage would be catastrophic, and it would hit the players far harder than the owners. Start with revenue sharing. Last year, for the first time in league history, players qualified for revenue sharing payments. The average player got around $45,000 from a collective pool generated primarily by jersey sales, trading cards, and other merchandise. And who drove those sales? Caitlin Clark. Her jersey sales alone accounted for a massive percentage of that revenue pool. Her trading cards were outselling established stars by ridiculous margins. If there's a strike, if the 2026 season doesn't happen, that momentum dies. Casual fans who just discovered the WNBA because of Clark, they're gone. They'll forget the league exists. The media coverage that finally treated the WNBA like a major sport, that disappears overnight. And most importantly, the revenue sharing that players just started receiving, that goes away for another 5 to 10 years minimum. You can't strike your way to prosperity when you don't have leverage. And the players don't have leverage here, no matter how much they want to believe they do. Here's what makes this situation so frustrating to watch. The WNBA just had its best year ever. Attendance was up across the board. Television ratings shattered